So how do we know that Rachel Scott did not say yes in her final moments at Columbine when asked about her faith? Number one, eyewitness testimony. Every single person who gave testimony saying that, Rachel did not have any interactions with her assailants, that they said nothing to her. Everyone who was out on that hill that day at Columbine High School said the same thing. But we know that eyewitness testimony can be a little funny when it comes to very high stress situations like this, when your adrenaline's rushing, there's a whole bunch of chaos going on. So let's look at the science. And I know I just started off with number one, but we're just not going to keep track of numbers anymore at this point. Investigators were able to tell from the autopsy and ballistics that Rachel was shot at point blank range, but most people do not realize what point blank range is. A lot of people think that it's, what happens, or like that's the terminology from when you like hold a firearm up to someone's head. In all reality, point blank range, which is in its name, it is a range, actually changes from firearm to firearm. I'm not getting into the exact definition because I don't quite understand it like 100%. I'm not a firearms or ballistics expert. For the specific range of the weapon that was used to end Rachel's life, it's about 10 to 15 feet away, which is backed up by what all the eyewitnesses said. Now, there was footage of one of the assailants using this weapon in the Rampart Range videos, at the shooting range that was released in when everything was coming out with the videos of Columbine. In order to control and fire that firearm, both hands were needed. So the assailant would not have been able to, as the story goes, walk up to Rachel, say something to her, and then pick her head up by her hair, and then fire off a weapon. It was too big of a weapon. Now let's take a look at Rachel's injuries, as you can see in her autopsy, because this is probably the most damning evidence. And yes, her autopsy results have been released online, or at least they partially have. And again, this was corroborated by all the eyewitnesses. Rachel Scott was shot in rapid succession in her left leg, her left arm, and then through her torso. Specifically, the trajectory of her gunshot wound that was to her torso went through her lower left lung, diagonally through her heart, and then through her upper right lung. That specific shot may have been the one that instantly killed her. Now let's say that it didn't. In order to be able to speak, you have to be able to have air in your lungs, you have to be able to keep it in your lungs, and then it has to be forced back out through your windpipe, through your esophagus, and then go through your vocal cords. Vocal folds, I think they're technically called, they're not cords. I'm probably going to use them interchangeably when talking about this. Now, considering Rachel was shot through both of her lungs, she would not have been able to keep the air in her lungs, she wouldn't have had that oxygen, and then been able to force it out through her windpipe. She would not have been able to speak. There is something that happens at the end of life, whether it is a natural end of life or whether it is something traumatic and horrible and, tragic that is happening in the case of Columbine. It is called agonal breathing. Basically what happens is it is your body's last attempt to try to clear your airway of any mucus, any blood, any other fluids. It's last attempt. You start agonal breathing and you don't really come back. That's the end. Hospice care workers find that happening, and that's when they start notifying the family it's about to happen. You do not have much time with your loved one anymore. So I have heard and seen video clips and audio clips of agonal breathing online. I have witnessed it myself in person, and for some people in some situations, it can almost kind of sound almost like a little bit of a whine, which is probably what Richard Castaldo would have heard if he actually did end up hearing, her whine or cry, as he would have described it, when he was sitting next to her when she lost her life at Columbine. So Rachel physically would not have been able to speak. She might have been able to agonal breathe if she was doing that, but in no way would she have been able to actually, get through the thought process. She's just been shot and everything is so horrible and oh my God, she's dying. But we're going to have the good sense to be able to, actually say that she, believed in God, let alone the physical ability to get those words out of her mouth. It would not have physically been possible. And then her final injury that she sustained, if the initial one through her torso was not the one that would have taken her life, was the one to her head, which was also from about 10 to 15 feet away. It is extremely likely that Rachel Scott had absolutely no idea what happened to her. And I think that's a good thing.